Family reunions, company picnics, your local chop house, and a fast food drive-thru. One thing all of these places have in common is beef. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, almost 27 billion pounds of beef were consumed in the United States in 2009, making beef the second most consumed meat in the U.S. market, just behind poultry. But where is America's beef produced, and by whom? For the most part, and especially along the east coast of the United States, cattle are being raised and farmed by families with generations of experience. The USDA counts more than 1 million cattle farmers and ranchers in the United States, and the vast majority of these are family-owned and operated. Though faced with challenges, a new generation of farmers is emerging, equipped with creativity, pride in a hard-working legacy, and hope for a bright future.
What's the first thing you want to do when you get up in the morning? Check cows. Eat breakfast.
No, that's what you want to do.
Jalen, that's all she's every morning, 6:30, 7 o'clock. Time to check cows, huh? It's a lifestyle we've definitely chose for these girls, and to raise a family in, and they're with me whenever they can be with me, and just amazing the kind of stuff these girls learn and what kids can learn from being around a farm. And me and my wife both grew up the same way that we want our girls to grow up, and that's around cows and around livestock and the values and stuff that you learn from doing all that.
I grew up on a farm that just celebrated its bicentennial in Somerset, Ohio, which is just a county over from here.
After Janice married Jake, a third-generation farmer who grew up in Lancaster, Ohio, the Wolfingers built a house on one of Jake's family properties to take over its cattle farming. In an attempt to start a venture of their own, Jake and Janice are in the process of a 1,000-mile move from their family farm in Ohio to begin a feedlot operation of their own in Nebraska. Their hope is that the move will secure a livelihood and future for themselves and their 2 daughters.
We're hoping that, we can generate revenue to where, in time we can buy land. As farmers, you invest all your money back into the land, whether it's taking care of the land, whether it's buying more land. 2 things either happen: either the next generation will want to take it over, or, we'll sell that land to another farmer to take over.
In the meantime, our goal too is to raise 2 girls to hopefully financially to be very educated through running their own cows until they go away to college. And no matter what they do, I hope that they have a good business sense, whether they want to feed cattle or not.
Yeah, and everything we do every day. There's not a day that goes by that we don't. These girls aren't learning something. No, look at it.
4.
Okay, and what's the last one?
4.
So what would that be? T144?
Yeah.
Is that right? Each one of these girls got a cow and a calf, and they understand that calf is here to produce food for American consumers, and them 2 girls understand that when when the check comes in the mail from those calves that are sold, them girls are the ones that we go to the bank and they deposit in the bank, and so we're trying to develop some values of understanding how money works and how business works, but at the same time there's a lot of pleasure in running cows and a lot of pleasures of being a cow farmer, and that's what that's what I think they really like, that side of it as well.
There's always been people in every generation that work hard, and there's always people that slack off. But how do you teach that? What's the lesson plan for work ethic? And I think that teaching kids how to work and how to work hard and how to work till the job is done, this is an opportunity to be able to do that for kids. That it's hard to have those opportunities other places.
And there's been several times, like especially in the winter, and when we're calving cows, they want to go out with you, and they don't quite understand that. Well, I'm going to be out for a couple hours tagging calves, taking care of calves, and I take them with me, and sometimes they complain and say, well, or even in the summer, they'll say, well, I'm ready to go to the house, I'm ready to do this, I'm ready to do that, and I'm like, girls, we're back here, we got to take care of this, take care of that, and we get this and this and this done, then we'll go to the house, and and they understand that now, by just repetitiveness of doing stuff like that. It's just kind of a pride thing, I've grown up taking care of the land. I've grown up, fixing up barns and remodeling barns and, making your cows better. It's just all about making your lifestyle better, I guess. And it's always been, too, about, feeding the country. You know, at the end of the day, I really feel like that's what my purpose is.
The tradition of work ethic that the Wolfingers hope to teach their children is something synonymous with generations of farmers. Though times are changing and the beef industry with it, one thing that seems to remain the same among cattle farmers is hard work and love of their land and animals.
A typical day is sun up till dark, very minimum, and sometimes more. That was rotational grazing, a move. I just yell, "Come on, girls," and they come running. So, as you can see, so they know they're going to lush grass, so they'll come right along. They learn pretty quick. So let's go move another bunch. You have fun, you know. You don't get paid very good, but you have fun, and you eat very good too.
Mark Matheny and Gordon Lawson have formed a unique friendship based on their love of farming. The two are members of Mon Valley Farms, LLC, a corporation made of 7 small local farms formed to help the members sell grass-fed beef around Morgantown, West Virginia. In addition to selling beef together, Mark and Gordon share the tasks and day-to-day work of beef farming on their family-owned operations.
I would say that we have a lot of common interests, not only because we're in business together, but we're sharing bulls back and forth, working together. Both of us have children who have left the farm and created a labor shortage. Now we kind of work together to get through those times when we need a lot of help.
So in the summertime, that the long daylight hours doesn't allow too much sleep. We're in our hay production right now, so you know it's a sun up till dark situation, and then with rotating our cattle too, Mark uses rotational grazing and I do too, so you have to keep that up also. It's a challenge.
And it is 6 days a week. We try not to do too much on Sunday unless it's an absolute necessity, but the other 6 days it's 12 or 14 hours pretty much every day. Every day there's something that you can appreciate on the farm.
You just look around and you say, well, that fence needs worked on over there. There's always something to do.
Yeah.
You never run out of anything to do.
Yeah.
But some days you get up and say, well, my wife will say sometimes, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know yet until I get out. And sometimes you go out and your day is completely changed from what you thought you was going to do.
For many families, like Jim and Jamie Kinsey, a father and son duo working the family operation in Flemington, West Virginia, the love of farming is a legacy passed from one generation to the next.
I was basically born and raised right here. Jamie lives in the old, what we call a home place up there we built in 1873. My great-grandfather settled here after the Civil War. You know, my father had a dairy and went out of dairy business in 1960, and that's when I got my first purebred Angus heifers. And pretty soon it'll be 50 years we've been fooling with purebred Angus cattle.
For generations on many farms, including the Kinsey's 150-year-old farm, the hectic schedule of cattle rearing is a family affair. Even today, the life of a farmer requires support and understanding of long hours from family and friends.
On the farm, a lot of people are involved, even though they might not be out getting their hands dirty on a day-to-day basis. Dad and I primarily work the farm, but my mother, Dad's wife, she's kind of instrumental. She's always got food prepared for him, laundry washed. So she kind of contributes in a way.
Well, she contributes in a big way. She really does.
Yeah.
Even though she'll tell you I'm not involved in the farm, but she really is.
Yeah. My wife's the same way. My wife does come out and occasionally help. She's learned to do some basic things on the farm. She's similar, just like my mother. Just understands that my hours are very wide and strange. It could be one day I'm gone at 6 in the morning and not home till 10 o'clock at night. And she's very understanding of that, as is my mother.
Probably one of our lax times, we have a little more free time, is like November and early December, when we got the calves all off. The cows have been vaccinated. They're out where they're going to be in the winter feed. They're kind of taking care of themselves. And if I got to go someplace, that's the most time I've got.
And if you ask my My wife, that's why we got married in November. That's a slow time.
We all have a habit of putting our hats and our boots and our beat buckles on and saying I'm in the cattle business, but you're really in the food business, and I think you always got to be cognizant of that.
It is extremely challenging. The weather plays such a factor in your daily life, and there's no controlling of the weather, and that just, but it's just what I've grown up with and what I've accepted, and it's something that I'd never want to change.
I knew exactly what I wanted to do when I was 7 years old, and today that's not the case. I knew when I first got through the Angus heifers, I wanted to continue doing that the rest of my life. And kind of stuck to that. I think you get a tremendous amount of satisfaction looking back and seeing what you've done. People say, well, when are you going to retire and stuff? I hope never to retire. I hope that the day I can't get out and look after the cattle or do something here on the farm is the day I hope I die. No, I just think it's just, it's just, that's what gets in your blood. It really does. It's hard to explain.
Despite the joy farmers have for working their land and animals, what many consider their calling is sometimes at odds with the need to feed their families. Often, small-time farmers around the East must maintain another job in addition to farming in order to secure necessities such as health care and insurance. Mark Matheny and Gordon Lawson have both felt the strain of financial pressure. Through Mon Valley Farms, LLC, the two sell their beef around Morgantown, West Virginia, including the local farmers market. But sometimes that income is not enough to keep up with expenses.
Most years you supplement your farm with off-farm income, just to pay the bills. You really don't get paid for your labor at all. But if you paid your expenses on most farms in northern West Virginia, you've done well.
Always wanted to be a full-time farmer, but it didn't pay the bills. So we're making an attempt to see if it will pay the bills on a small family farm. Very challenging.
In addition to economic pressures, urban development increasingly threatens traditional family farmland. According to the USDA's Census of Agriculture, over 4 million acres of agricultural land has been developed into urban areas since 2002. As a result, the price of land is at a premium as its availability dwindles. Morgantown, West Virginia in particular, is experiencing unprecedented growth despite the recession. As schools, apartments, and condos are constructed all along the hills, farmers such as Mark and Gordon are finding themselves increasingly at a loss.
The electric fence somehow got broken, and the cows kind of let themselves into a new grazing area a little earlier than I had hoped to, but that's okay. Won't hurt a bit. This is a farm that I used to use for several years, and the family sold it to the developers, and they're in that process right now of developing the homes that they're putting in there. And my biggest concern is that my cows get out and start stamping through somebody's landscaped yard or something. Like a thing like this, if the electric fence would break and they get over in those houses. Prior to that, it was just another farm, and if your cattle get out on the neighbor once in a while, it's kind of an accepted thing in the farm community, but I'm sure some of my new neighbors would probably frown on having cows. I can think of at least 2 that I've used in the past, 3 that I've used in the past that are currently being developed. At some point, I'm sure in this immediate area, most of them will be developed, and we will not be seeing beef cattle around here.
As a result of these pressures, the agricultural industry has experienced scaling back of small family farms over several decades. While these pressures continue, many in the beef industry are hopeful about its future. Though according to the USDA, the majority of farmers today are over the age of 55, younger farmers are still generating a name and presence in the cattle industry, working hard to make a career of their passion.
We came to Virginia partially for her job. She was kind of centrally located here to Staunton, and also move our cow herd this way to get more into the beef industry. and kind of into the hot spot of the beef industry here in Virginia.
Ken and Kitty Reed, both raised on family farms in Pennsylvania, are a young couple that understand the changing face of farming today and are working hard to make a living following their dreams.
Since we've been married and I've been out of college now, we've not owned any ground, just been renting and kind of had a dream and just been pursuing that. Financially, it's somewhat of a burden just buying in and getting and going. You know, when I coming out of college, I bought a small group of cows and just kind of have been building from there. You know, it certainly would have been a lot harder if I would have just bought in all at one time. With development these days, the cost of land is one of the biggest struggles. We hope to buy the farm we're leasing here now, but it is going to be a problem if we don't. But there's still a lot of ground to lease, so even if we don't get this ground bought, we'll still have, you know, a business and be in the cattle industry. This year, even with the dry year, we're really doing well. So, you know, we'll move from here. We've got a bunch of replacement heifers out there. We'll probably retain and maybe even purchase more, and hopefully, you know, for next year we might even have more pasture. This community that we're in now has been as open and welcoming as any we've lived in yet.
A lot of it goes back to that lifestyle, that just good folks, good people, very down to earth, and always willing to lend a helping hand.
Ken and Kitty Reed, like many farmers across the East, are aware of the challenges the future presents, but through dedication and love of their work, the Reeds, like the Wolfingers, Kinseys, and Mark Matheny and Gordon Lawson, are ready to face the difficulties of today and the pressures of tomorrow.
I think we're just heading in the right direction. You know, we're still excited about being in the cattle industry and where we're going. I think we've got a future in it, and I think we've got a long future in it.